The March 23rd movement, M23, is a powerful rebel group operating in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, a region long plagued by ethnic tensions, armed conflicts, and geopolitical interests. Emerging in 2012, M23 has been at the center of one of Africa's most complicated conflicts, accused of being a Rwandan proxy while claiming to fight for the rights and survival of Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese, particularly the Banyamulenge Tutsi community in eastern DRC. Origins of M23 and the betrayal of the 2009 agreement. M23 traces its roots to the National Congress for the Defense of the People, CNDP, a Tutsi-led militia that fought against the Congolese government in the mid-2000s. The CNDP entered into a peace agreement with the Congolese government in March 2009, promising to integrate its fighters into the armed forces of the Democratic Republic of Congo, FARDC. However, the Kinshasa government failed to honor key terms of the deal, including the protection of Kinyarwanda-speaking communities from ethnic-based violence and the political inclusion of former rebels. Feeling betrayed, many ex-CNDP soldiers defected from the army in April 2012 and formed M23, named after the March 23rd peace agreement that was never fully implemented. The group demanded justice for Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese and pushed for political reforms. Tshisekedi's government and ethnic killings in eastern DRC. Under President Felix Tshisekedi, the Congolese government has been accused of siding with ethnic militias hostile to the Banyamulenge community. Instead of seeking peace, Kinshasa has allegedly armed and collaborated with genocidal militias, such as FDLR, Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, a group founded by Hutu extremists responsible for the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. FDLR fighters have been accused of carrying out massacres, rapes, and targeted assassinations of Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese in eastern DRC. Wazalendo, a coalition of anti-M23 militias with a history of ethnic cleansing against the Tutsi population. Nyatura, a Congolese Hutu militia working alongside the FDLR accused of raiding Banyamulenge villages, burning homes, and slaughtering civilians. Mai militias, traditional armed groups that have joined forces with FRDC against M23 and have been linked to massacres of Kinyarwanda speakers. Reports indicate that these armed groups, often supported by the Congolese army, FARDC, Burundian soldiers, and foreign mercenaries, have carried out systematic killing, rapes, and forced displacements, targeting the Banyamulenge and other Tutsi populations in the Kivu region. This has led to a growing humanitarian crisis, with thousands of people forced to flee their homes. M23's fight to protect Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese. Unlike other rebel groups that operate in eastern DRC, M23 justifies its fight as a response to the mass killings and persecution of Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese. The group claims it is not a Rwandan proxy, but a protector of an oppressed community. Over the years, M23 has launched offensives against FDLR strongholds, targeting militia bases responsible for massacring Tutsis. Despite being labeled as a terrorist group by the Congolese government, M23 insists that its goal is not to destabilize the country, but to ensure the safety and rights of Kinyarwanda speakers in eastern Congo. M23 has repeatedly called for negotiations, but the Congolese government, under pressure from Western allies, has refused to engage. Western hypocrisy, blaming Rwanda while ignoring genocide in DRC. Despite clear evidence that FDLR, Nyatura, and other militias are committing atrocities against Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese, Western countries continue to blame Rwanda for the M23 crisis. Nations like the United States, France, and Germany have accused Rwanda of supporting M23, ignoring the fact that 1. M23 is fighting against a genocide happening right under the watch of the international community. 2. FDLR, Nyatura, and Wazalendo are armed and backed by the Congolese government with documented evidence of their crimes. 3. Western governments continue to fund the Congolese army, FARDC, which is actively working with genocidal groups. Instead of addressing these realities, Western nations have imposed sanctions on Rwanda, cut foreign aid, and threatened diplomatic action. Countries like Germany, Canada, and the UK have recently suspended their financial support to Rwanda further complicating regional peace efforts. Rwanda's role promoting peace. Despite the accusations, Rwanda has consistently denied supporting M23, instead calling for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. President Paul Kagame has urged the international community to address the real cause of instability in eastern DRC, the failure of the Congolese government to protect its own citizens, the continued presence of FDLR, which poses a direct threat to regional security, the refusal of Kinshasa to negotiate with M23, forcing them to take up arms to defend their people. While Rwanda has welcomed Congolese refugees fleeing the violence, it has remained firm that it will not allow instability along its borders. Kagame has warned that if FDLR and other militias continue to pose a threat, Rwanda will take necessary measures to protect its national security. Cross-border attacks and escalation risks. As the conflict rages on, Congolese soldiers and their allied militias have on multiple occasions fired into Rwandan territory. These incidents include heavy shelling near Rubavu district, causing panic among civilians, gunfire directed at Rwandan border security, raising fears of an all-out war, cross-border raids by armed militias, some of whom are retreating after being defeated by M23. Despite these provocations, Rwanda has exercised restraint, opting for diplomatic engagement rather than military retaliation. However, continued attacks could force Rwanda to take defensive action, further worsening regional tensions. Conclusion: the real fight for survival. The M23 crisis is not just another rebellion in eastern Congo. It is a battle for survival for the Kinyarwanda-speaking population. While Western powers and the Kinshasa government focus on blaming Rwanda, the real issue remains: the massacres, persecution, and displacement of Tutsi communities in eastern DRC, the collaboration between the Congolese army and genocidal militias, the refusal of the international community to acknowledge these atrocities. As long as these fundamental issues are ignored, peace will remain elusive, and M23 will continue to resist any forces that threaten the survival of Kinyarwanda-speaking Congolese.